It was one of the violent scenes that defined the unrest in Charlottesville. A car plowing into a street full of demonstrators while protesting white nationalists last summer. A woman, Heather Heyer, died in that violent incident.
Now the man accused of being behind the wheel goes before a judge. James Fields faces dozens of charges, among them 2 hate crimes connected to Heyer's death. 13 News Now investigative reporter Laura Geller is following this story.
Well, James Fields Jr. pleaded not guilty in court yesterday to all 30 charges. One of them carries the possibility of the death penalty. Speaking in a loud, clear voice, Fields answered questions from the judge, confirming he understands the charges. The 21-year-old asked for a public defender to represent him. Fields says he is receiving psychiatric care for several mental conditions and taking medication for bipolar disorder, anxiety, depression, and ADHD. He also told the judge he has a high school diploma and previously worked as a security guard. Fields is also charged with first-degree murder and other state-level felonies. He's due to stand trial on those charges in November. Laura Geller, 13 News Now.